What's going on, wrestling fans? It is I, Steve Fault, and welcome to the show. On today's edition, I am talking to the most dangerous man. It's Ken Shamrock. How you doing today, Ken?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you.
Oh, man, it's so good to have you here again. And we've talked about so many things. And since the last time we talked, maybe like a year and a half ago, so much crap has happened. Can you believe UFC and the WWE are now under the same umbrella?
Just thinking about the path that I took, years back, and then to see this kind of take its form is pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, unbelievable. So, like, back in the day, I think it was like 98, the WWE would randomly advertise UFC pay-per-views on the bottom of their screen, maybe twice, and then just disappeared. And there was like a weird feud between WWE and UFC, but seeing them now owned by the same company. Yeah, it's very interesting that you were part of both of their history, and now they're together. Hopefully this will give you more eyes on you, and we can get you back onto one of those screens, because the Ultimate Fighter was an incredible show. Do you disagree?
Well, it's funny too, because I really enjoyed that, but that's how I started the Lion's Den, was, housing fighters, doing tryouts, filming them, interviews, having them fight one another. And then to see it turn into an actual series and show was pretty incredible.
Right. Season 3, you were one of the coaches on
Right.
the Ultimate Fighter. And that really, to me personally, I think a lot of people would agree, is the success of that show launched UFC into a new stratosphere, because before everyone knew about it, but that really was like the rivalry between you and Ortiz. Like, that's intense stuff there. Do you agree that without the success of that show, UFC wouldn't have landed where it is now?
Well, it's hard to take one piece of that era, like the Ultimate Fighter, without having guys like me and Tito, and others like, Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture and all those guys that came in after us, for the show to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, those things playing together got eyes on the actual show itself, because the feud me and Tito had, it turned a lot of eyeballs. Best damn sports show, feud of the year. I mean, it was just everything. I mean, it blew up pretty big. So for us to have that during that time, put a lot of eyes on the actual show that was happening. And then when you had that fight between Steph and Bonner, I mean, you think about that, right? I mean, it was an incredible fight. That opened the doors up wide open for all those people that were there to see Ken Shamrock and Tito Ortiz, and also the finals of that, to see those fights and how great that fight was, really launched the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, I can't believe that it's not talked about more often. I've been seeing a little bit more glimpses here and there. That's why I was like, oh, I get to talk to Ken. This is a perfect opportunity to bring it up, because there's been so much happening with UFC and the WWE, but with the WWE and UFC being owned by TKO, one of your old rivals in the WWE joined the board of directors, The Rock, of all people. The final boss. He had a great performance at WrestleMania 2 nights in a row. Are you shocked to see that a wrestler isn't just working for the company? They are on the board of the company.
No, I think The Rock is an incredible human being. And I think if anybody during that time that I had worked with or had been around at that time, he was a class act. So this is a great person to be in that position and to be able to do what he's doing in both areas. Rock's a physical specimen. I mean, like, the guy is incredibly gifted. I believe that if he would have focused in the NFL, he probably could have played in the NFL. He's just got a lot of athletic ability.
Man, yeah,
and he's an intelligent individual. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, I think he's selling everything you can sell with his name on it, and it's selling. It's doing well. Whiskey to just movies and WrestleMania, the biggest WrestleMania of all time, and he was on it competing. Not like a host, not a random one match. He competed not once, but twice in a row, and the rivalry with you and The Rock is probably the tippity top of matches that really launched his career, which launched what he's doing now. So without that. But I've interviewed you before, and I never asked you this question, and it really bothered me when I was younger. Was Kurt Angle comes in, you're not there anymore. He starts using the ankle lock, and I did exactly what I think everyone else did, and pointed at our screen and says, "That Shamrocks. What the hell's happening here?" Did you have a feeling like that where it was like, wait a minute, wait, isn't this mine?
It was funny because everybody was hitting me up saying, "Dude, he stole your move," and I just kind of laughed. I was like, "What are you talking about?" He says, "He's using your ankle lock," and I was like, "It's not mine." It's like I don't own it. Somebody taught me that ankle lock when I was in the world of fighting. I brought it into wrestling. I brought a lot of things into wrestling. And it's great to see all those things being used and the opportunity for these guys to use it in an entertainment aspect. But really, it's just like when you look at the power bombs and the, superplex and all these different things that people do and somebody else picks it up and uses it. These things that when people look at it, and they shouldn't look at it as somebody taking something from somebody. I look at it as honoring somebody.
Mm. Did you ever have a conversation with Kurt after? Did he ever say to you, "Hey, I've been using this. I want to say, thank you for making it famous"?
We've had our conversation and very respectful. Kurt's another great human being. I have a lot of respect for him, and what he did prior to wrestling was, tremendous and incredible. And then what he was able to do in pro wrestling. So just a tremendous guy. Another guy, like I said, is just a really class act, a good person, and a great wrestler.
Oh my God. Yeah. Top 10 of all time, 100%. Like he's up there. He's somewhere. He's either 1 or 10 or 5, but he's incredible. So right now with bare knuckle fighting, and you have UFC, you have WWE, you have that thing with Slap with Dana White, like sports now in bare knuckle fighting, it's like there's so much more happening in combat sports. So with your company, what exactly is the next step for your bare knuckle fighting company?
Yeah, it's funny too, because in the world of fighting, it was like, you know what you're doing. You got a match, it's set, and you train for that date. You go out, you do it, and everything happens the way it's supposed to. When you actually running a business, like we're doing with the bare knuckle, it's constantly moving and changing all the time. And even what people are wanting to see, what's trending, what's not trending. There's a social media aspect of it. There's the actual fighter aspect. There's just so many things that is constantly changing that you have to be really quick in your mind and making sure that you're staying up with things that are happening. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what we've been doing is that, when we first launched, it's not like I want to jump into something and spend a lot of money pushing something unless I know exactly the direction we're going. Mm-hmm. And because things have changed with bare knuckle and with what's going on in the UFC and then what's going on in the pro wrestling world, and then of course in the sports world where business is starting to cross over into sports with ownerships and athletes, there's a lot of moving pieces. And so we've really been really strategic on how we're moving forward and making sure that we're not only just building a great fight league, but we're building a great fight team and also a brilliant office of guys that we believe will have the ability to kind of push us up into the next generation of what's going to happen, being very creative of what we're going to do. So it's not a rush for us, but when we do move and we start really putting on shows every other month, you will see something that you haven't seen before. It's going to be very creative. It's going to be very exciting. And we want to push the envelope. And I'm the kind of person, I think anybody that knows me, I'm not going to go do something that everybody else is doing. Like I'm going to go out and put on another MMA show. No. I'm going to go out and put on another bare knuckle show. No. If I put something on and I'm going to do it the way that even my whole career has been, I'm going to be very creative and I'm going to make sure that it's not the same thing as everybody's watching.
Oh man, I'm all on. I need some of this right now then, because you got me all pumped up about the idea of what's happening. It's
coming. It's coming.
Yeah. Don't tease me like that, Ken, please. Because you're right. Anyone can put on a show for anything from music to movies to television to combat sports. But if you don't present it in a new light, but have some familiarity to it, well, then you might be get lost in the shuffle. And I love the fact you bring up social media, because seeing some bare knuckle fighting on, Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, whatever, that brings eyeballs in.
Yep. And it's you're starting to see how people are really wanting to watch fights, and by listening and paying attention to the masses, which is the media and social, the people, Instagram, followers, all those guys, and you start paying attention to the world, it would be very stupid of anybody not to really start looking at those things and really start building an organization that would cater to that.
Right. Yeah, man. Oof. You got me going. I'm excited. Now, I have interviewed so many wrestlers from the point I talked to you into now, and they have shared some stories with me about you. And I need to confirm that some of these are actually true or not true. Okay. Because this, it's like Wikipedia, where you read something, you're like, I don't think they're 6'7". So this one is interesting. I don't know if it's even true. I talked to Gary Wolf, and he told me that the Nasty Boys and you had a pretty big hotel fight years ago. Yep. Is this true?
Yes. Yeah, it did. It turned out really bad for me. I'm not going to get into it because it was years ago, and, they have their opinion, and I know what the truth is. But it was what it was. And I went on to do what I did, and they went on to do whatever they're doing. So that's that. I people ask me all the time about this, and it's like, it's no relevance to me. It's like, that's probably the biggest, I would say, medal or some sort of, awards trophy that these guys carry around with them because of what happened to me in that situation. And because of what I became, it's kind of he's like, well, yeah, I beat up Ken Shamrock. It's like, okay. If people believe that, well, I've got some swampland for you too, that you can really build on and have a great living.
Oh man, how much is that swampland? I'm interested.
Right. Yeah.
The other one, this is really nothing. Did Big Show try to bully you backstage, and you had to kind of put him in his place?
No, that was all fun. Okay. He came up behind me, he grabbed me. We all had this, where our wives and kids and everything, and it was in this green room, and we were all just kind of socializing. And he came up behind me and he grabbed me and playing around. I said, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do now?" And I basically just kind of went limp, put him in a heel hook, and he tapped. He screams, "Ow!" And but again, like I said, that was in fun. It's not like he came up and tried to squeeze the air out of me and hurt me. He came up playing around, and then I just caught him off guard.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Because you hear people's like, yeah, this happened and that happened, and you're like, I don't know what's true or not. So
yeah, that was not a serious situation. That was a play around thing, and I caught him off guard. That's all.
All right. Because I even Googled that after someone told me that story, and I was like, and then somewhere on like a top 10 list or something, they're like, stories you don't know about Ken Shamrock. And one of them is Big Show was bullying you, and you taught him a lesson backstage.
No,
so there we go. We cleared up the air.
Not true.
Good. This one is just the simplest question ever. 1997 SummerSlam. You find the British Bulldog, and there's a match, and if you lose, you have to eat dog food. And for some strange reason, somebody told me a story where that was real dog food, and you really ate the dog food. Now, was it real dog food?
Absolutely.
Oh!
Yes.
No!
Yes, it was. Yeah, it's real. Absolutely.
They couldn't have put some ground beef in there?
I think the rib was on me.
How much did you actually eat though? Because it's like all over your face, and you go crazy, and you're beating up refs.
Yeah, I didn't eat any of it. I mean, it got in my mouth, but I didn't eat it.
Oh my god! Yeah, man, I was hoping that you'd be like, no, it's not true. It was ground beef.
Yeah, no, it definitely got in my mouth, but I didn't eat it. Sorry to disappoint you guys.
Oh, yeah, the
Next
disappointment of all the
time.
Shamrock fans finding out, it's like, "Oh, David, I wrote a whole book about the time that he really or didn't really eat dog food." That's amazing that you actually did that. Congratulations on that. Because I can't believe that someone would be like, "Hey," because they easily, you've seen stuff before where it's like, "This is not real." Like, Jake the Snake Roberts had his snake killed by the earthquake once. That wasn't a real snake. But knowing somebody like maybe Vince McMahon, be like, "Let's put a real snake in there and see what it's like."
Yeah, you don't know, right? You just don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm making you eat dog food. Oh my god. Uh, what was it like working with the British Bulldog though? Because he's such a great talent that unfortunately we've lost.
Yeah, no question. Good guy. He was incredibly athletic. Even for his size, he moved really well for a big muscular guy. But really easy to work with. Just a great guy. I mean, I guess he had his moments where he would lose his temper and get out of the way. I mean, because he's nobody you want to mess with. So again, uh, everybody has their stories about him. It's kind of like where a fan comes up and asks for your autograph, which I've never done this, but I get how people can. Whereas maybe you sit down with your family, something happens, and a guy snaps at a fan, and he goes back and he tells his friends about it. Next thing you know, this guy's an ass.
Mm,
One incident, right? So I think Bulldog's kind of a little bit like that, where he's had his moments, but with me, he's always been always cool, great to work with, and a good guy.
yeah, he seemed like a great guy, a family man as well. With
Yeah.
talking about fans coming up to you. Recently, we've seen a lot of social media posts of wrestlers in the airports, and out of nowhere, swarmed by fans with like it's not an autograph; it's sign 10 things so I can go sell them. At your
Right.
height of your career, was that situation happening to you often?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the environment, if it's around an MMA thing, it was crazy. Even wrestling at different events because of the masses of people, that would happen. But my father had schooled me early on as I started getting up into the UFC and I started gaining a lot of attention. He schooled me early on and told me, he said, anytime anybody ever comes up to you, I don't care what you're doing. You're eating dinner, you're with your family. People always make excuses. Well, if I'm in my family, don't do that. Well, my dad always said, you got to understand that these guys, when they're coming around, they may never see you again. And so if you're sitting down with your family, this is their only chance to come up and say something or do something. And so for anyone to get mad at them, you have to understand where they're coming from. They're not going to see you. They don't believe they're ever going to see you again.
Right.
And even going through airports, or you're in another town. And so he said, make sure you always take that 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, whatever it takes to at least say hello to them and sign. It's not going to be that strenuous for you. It's not like you got 10 people standing in line to sign an autograph while you're eating dinner. I mean, if that happens, then somebody else can step in for you, but not you. And so I've always lived my life like that, whereas that the fans, I appreciate them because without them, and this is where I think it just breaking it down to simple facts is that we're nothing. We are zero without them making us something, without making us important. And then comes the money, and then comes the fame, and it's all because of the fans, period. And so my father broke it down to me real clear early on. And so I've always lived that way, whereas I've always wanted to make sure I took time, no matter what situation it was in, to appreciate the people that are spending their hard-earned dollar to come watch us.
Wow. Yeah, I love that way to look at it because it feels like through the eyes of at least the internet, someone comes through an airport. It's not one person. Like you're describing a situation where it's like one person comes up to you, you're eating dinner, and they, hey, autograph, versus a swarm of like 20, 30 guys with a bunch of shit they want you to sign, versus one autograph and one picture is different from 20
Right.
autographs from
But
one person.
even with guys that come up trying to, make money, there's a code that I live by, and that's respecting everyone, no matter who they are. A guy could come up and be disrespectful. The way you act back to them is going to decide what happens in the next 2 to 3 seconds. And so I always try to take the high ground. I haven't always been great at it, There are times where I've gotten caught off guard, no question. But if I'm able to really think it through, I'm going to take that 2 to 3 seconds to try to decipher it and diffuse it before it ever gets started.
Yeah. Ken Shamrock, the man, the person we see on TV smashing himself in the face eating dog food is not the person that we, I guess, in the real world, very zen. It feels like if someone comes up to you, I love it. Though, when
I
you
haven't always been that way. It took me a
I was
while to
gonna
get
say,
there. It
you
took me
said
a
that,
while to
you're
get
right.
there. Yes.
We have talked in the past about situations where maybe your anger got the better of you. So, those are stories for the past. We're talking about different times. Though when fans come up to you, and obviously, do you go to festivals very often and sign autographs and hear the stories of how you inspire people, or is that something you don't do?
Very selective when I do go. I always think that when you've had a great career, and I've had a lot longer than most. I mean, I was able to fight till I was 52 and be in pro wrestling, up until I was probably 56. So I've been very blessed. So I always try to think about any time that I go somewhere, and like I said, it's not a whole lot, just very selective. That this is the time where I show my appreciation to the fans and for the support that they've shown me over the years, and being able to live a lifestyle that I'm living now, and then to show that appreciation, because without them, I don't have this. And so I take that's what it means to me when I go do these things. It's time for me to shake their hand and have a conversation with them and show my appreciation.
Yeah. Again, I was gonna say, because I go to a lot of these festivals now, and I'm like, you're never like on the bill. It feels like, I'm always like, my opinion personally would be, if you did go out there, that the passion of the stories you'd hear, because unfortunately, it seems like every time there's an anniversary show for the WWE, you never get the invite, and so it's very awkward to me when I'm like, you bring back this person, but not Ken Shamrock. Like, is there a reason you believe why you're not brought back? Because fans today who don't know the history would be like, "Oh my god, I got to watch this guy."
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's something, I don't know what it is.
Hmm.
Yeah, but maybe it's I was only there for 3 years, so, or a little less than 3 years. So, but I've been wrestling long before that. Before I became a fighter, I put 3 years in before that, and then became a fighter. So I don't know. Like I said, it's not really my place to try to figure out what other people are thinking. But there's the last probably 10 years, there's been an earthquake in WWE.
True.
I mean, like, there's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes that fans don't see, that I'm able to hear through the grapevine, that have been always unsettling. So you don't know who's doing what over there. Now I believe that there's some actual organization starting to happen, and an actual business starting to be rebuilt. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of years. But again, those are things that, like, I had a career in fighting. I've been inducted into 3 different Hall of Fames, 1 in MMA, 2 in wrestling. And I'm appreciative. I'm very, very grateful what I have done. And I don't look at it like where I need other people to pat me on the back for what I've done. I know what I've done, and I know the level that I've done it at. And for me, and my family and the people around me and the fans, when I talking to them all the time. So for me, that's there already. I mean, obviously, being in the Hall of Fame and WWF is something that would be definitely cherry on top, but it's not going to define me. It's not going to really do anything to diminish what I've done. So for me, it's not a call that I can make. That's up to somebody else and what they think that value is.
Because beforehand, they brought back so many people for like one-offs here and there. But I feel like in the Attitude Era that you were part of, that's such a monumental moment for a lot of fans. Even today's world, everyone keeps saying this new era of the WWE, did it surpass Attitude Era? So they're still comparing billions of dollars of deals to the time that you were on top of the world. So I'm just saying, like, in my brain, because there was a rumor that you signed a WWE Legends contract. Is that true?
Well, I've been on one. It's
So
weird that came up. Yeah,
so you have shirts,
yeah.
and
I mean,
things like that.
it,
But like coming
yeah.
back face to face on television, So how long has your Legends contract been going on then?
Oh, I couldn't tell. It's been a while. I don't remember when I signed it, but I mean, it's been a while. I mean, yeah. So I've been a part of that, and it's weird, man. It's like I've done so much in the MMA world and in the wrestling world, and even at the time, pretty much kind of connected the two. With me being the first one to do that in MMA, because I was a wrestler first. And then I went back into wrestling after, accomplishing being the first super fight champion, which is now what they call single fights, which they didn't have back then, which I started, and won the first title doing that. So, I know where I'm at, and I know what I've done in the realm of the Hall of Fame status. And I was acknowledged as the first one in the mixed martial arts along with Hoist. And then, of course, in the Wrestling Hall of Fame, Impact Hall of Fame Wrestling, except for WWF. And again, like I go back to that. It's like, listen, that doesn't define, what I've done. This is just people appreciating the accomplishments and the things that I've done in pro wrestling. If that doesn't happen, which, if it does, obviously it'd be a little disappointing, but it's not gonna diminish my feeling and the things that I have done in the sport and being proud of what I've done. That's not going to, crush and diminish everything on the accomplishments that I've had.
Of course, it's more of being a selfish fan of myself being like, I want Ken on Monday Night Raw slamming someone down and then ankle locking the crap out of, Cody Rhodes or someone. And that's what maybe I'm being selfish. Maybe I'm being selfish because
again, like I said, I think it's great to have fans that think I should be in there. That's awesome. But again, man, that's completely out of my control, man. But I just say, just appreciate, the things that you were able to watch, the memories that were created. And then, obviously there's things happening now where you're starting to see this business being built around, The Rock and the organization and MMA and this new movie coming out with The Rock called The Smashing Machine. I believe it's called The Smashing Machine. I don't know for sure. But there's a lot of exciting things happening in that world. So it's fun to watch, man.
Yeah, it's incredible to see what's happening now. So with so many things happening in UFC, in the WWE, and The Rock, like what could happen next? Because there's just so many elements to what's building to the future. And I hope that future is Ken Shamrock on Raw, making Cody Rhodes tap out. But what's next for you?
Yeah, right now we're really focused on, the OFL, which is our fight league. My mind is really kind of just trying to get to the finish line here because I think we have something special. And our creativity that is going to be shown here in the next 6 to 8 months is exciting. And so I'm excited to where I'm at right now in my life with what I've already accomplished in my career and the opportunity to be able to have other people get to feel what I feel when I fight. And when I was in there, it's exciting to be able to watch these guys go in sometimes for the first time fighting in our structure, the platform. It's fun. And this is kind of me going back to where I first started fighting. It was exciting. There was a lot of stuff in front of me that I wanted to accomplish. I did. I'm at that point now where I'm actually doing this business, and I've got people surrounding me, obviously, because I'm not, there's a lot of places that I can't really be an expertise at. So I'm bringing in the right people to help me get where I want to go with the business. But it's fun and it's exciting and I'm rejuvenated and I think it's going to be special. I think this is going to be something that I get to really turn the fans on again.
Oh man, so clearly you're feeling the excitement through the fighters as well because your passion is there. Like you know, you're so excited that they're pushing that on them, and then I cannot wait to see what happens next. But there's so much happening in the wrestling world and UFC. But again, Ken Shamrock did it 3 times interviewing you. Thank you so much again for being here, talking to me about everything that's going on in your life. I'm Seafall. He's the most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
I appreciate you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.